I'm in a time machine. Oh, and I've just arrived back in the year 2007. Today, I want you guys to cast your minds back to 2007, where Manchester City were on the verge of being taken over by Sheik Mansour. Now, we all know what happened after this. They went on to win everything after spending millions and millions. But today, we're going to explore the possibility of that not happening, as well as also if it did happen, but I was in charge of transfers. We're going to do dual rebuilds in today's video. One where they don't have any money, just £5 million to spend. And one, a world where I was in charge of the finances that the new takeover brought. £500 million to go and spend on this side. Together, we're going to adventure through this throwback retro database created by tHeMAdSCienTiSt FM. We've done some previous videos on this. We simulated it. We did a Liverpool rebuild. Today, Manchester City. But a little bit different. We're going to do both together. 5 million, 500 million. Feel like we can have a lot of fun with both. One, we've got a wheel and deal. One, we can just go and splash the cash. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to day one of our dual rebuilds video today with Manchester City set in the scene of the 2007-2008 retro database, courtesy of tHeMAdSCienTiSt FM. The scene that we are met with today is this one here. Manchester City are just on the brink of that Sheik Mansour takeover. They're in the era of Thaksin Shinawatra. They've got some fun new players in their squad, but they haven't quite gone to that next level yet where they bring in players like Robinho. And that was kind of like the big first one, wasn't it? The squad looks like this. They've got Kasper Schmeichel in goal, Vedran Chorluka. They've got Richard Dunn in there. I think he might have been captain at this stage. I feel like that might have been the case. They've got Sun Ji-hai. Mika Richards is a wonder kid who's actually going to be one we're going to keep probably in both sides of our rebuild today, which I'll explain how exactly we're going to do that in a second. Dietmar Hamann, Michael Johnson, he was great for a little bit. Really tipped to be in future England teams, wasn't he? Alongside a bit of a cult hero, I think. I think if you remember this era, the player that stands out for me, maybe alongside Giovanni, who we'll come on to, Robinho, it's Alano. I remember him being really, really good and he was exciting to watch, wasn't he? There is Giovanni, who went on to play for Hull City, famously. He scored a good free kick, didn't he? Stephen Ireland was great at this time. Kind of faded out his career, didn't it? A little bit sad, actually, I think, his story of his career, because he was electric at one point. Then we've got players like Darius Vassell, Boyanov, Mapenza, Rolando Bianchi. He was a bit of a flop, wasn't he? And Georgios Samaras, who went on to play for Celtic. So the scene is set. We're Manchester City. We need to try to make them the Manchester City that we know today. We need to make them world beaters. However, we're going to do it in two different ways. We're going to have a poor man's save, which is going to look like this, where they've got about £5 million to spend, 5.5 actually. Our poor man's save is the universe where they didn't get the future investment. They didn't get Sheik Mansour come in and put all of that money in and buy all of those players like Tevez, and I could list, Yaya Toure, etc., etc. In this universe, we need to be smart. Buy cheap players, see if we can build a brilliant Manchester City team, but on a budget. Well, we will compare that with this world, the rich man's rebuild, where we have £500 million to go and splash. And in this database, if you've watched the Liverpool one, if you've played or watched the sim video that we did, there are a lot of talented young footballers that you can go and spend money on and build a super team. It's what we did in the Liverpool rebuild. I wanted to do both in today's video. 5 million, the poor man rebuild, alongside the rich man's rebuild with 500 million to go and spend. This is the scene. This is the way we're going to do it. We're going to step in. We're going to do 3 seasons with both and compare and contrast the two teams together. Let's go and start by wheeling and dealing and doing our poor man's rebuild first transfer window. Come on. If this is your type of video, then please do subscribe to the channel, because we're aiming for 75,000 subscribers and we're not that far away. If this is your type of video and you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments what you might want to see. Maybe we'll go and do this with other teams in this database. Maybe we'll do it in the up-to-date real-life database that we've got at the moment and do comparing rebuilds like this. I feel like it's a fun idea. Let me know what you want to see next and leave a like on the video. I should also shout out Kempy, who did a video very similar to this, and I did see and did message him to check that this was all good. I really like the idea of doing the contrasting. We've done it a bit differently, but I just wanted to give him a shout out too. His channel is going to be linked in the description of today's video if you want to go and check out that video that he did. Thank you very much. Let's jump into that first transfer window. Okay, so I have been wheeling and I've been dealing. Think of me like a poor man's Harry Redknapp. And he said Harry Potter there. And That's your fault in the comments. You've done that. You've put that seed in my brain. Anyway, let's have a look at the transfers that I've done here in our poor man's rebuild. Starting with the 4 men that I've brought in to the club. I have spent about £5 million. Look, there's 2.5 million of free transfer, 1.8 million and 800k. Very cheap. We've kept things very poor man's in this one. I've let a few players go as well, bringing in a little bit of money to spend, but I've not really spent it too much. If you want to see the outgoings here, the likes of Samaras has gone out on loan. Usman Dabo went out on loan too. We have sold for £1 million Sunji High. I think that might have been planned anyway. He went to Everton in real life, I think, possibly. He's gone out anyway. Those are the outs. The ins, I think they're quite interesting. They're definitely varied. They're definitely going to be contrasting to the big spending rich man's rebuild we're doing. We have brought in Harry Kewell from Liverpool for just £2.5 million. Now, he's only 28. In the Liverpool rebuild, I didn't really use him at all because I felt like the squad that we had kind of moved past him and he wasn't particularly good. He was one of those players I talked about. I was really sad the way that his Liverpool career ended up going. He had real spells of being great, had real injury issues though, and never quite hit the heights that he reached with Leeds before joining Liverpool. I like him a lot though. Like he's a big old favourite of mine. I think I had a Liverpool shirt with his name on the back, or at least he had number 7, didn't he, at the time? So I'm going to try and rebuild him in this save here. Just 28, £2.5 million. He's got some redeeming features that I think he could play a part maybe as a number 10 or out on this left-hand side, or even, I suppose, with the emergence of more inside forwards on the right-hand side, potentially. We'll see where we use him, but I thought there was value in picking him up, and I'll show you how the squad's going to be set up in a second as well. He first came in alongside Eric Djemba. Now, he's on a free, and he'd already been at Manchester United, and I felt like he looks all right for a free transfer. I don't know how much I'm going to use him, but he was free and he's Eric Djemba. So in he came, as well as Roman Pavlyuchenko. Now this one I actually think he's going to be really, really good. Of course, he went on, I think he looks a bit older than he was when he was playing in the Premier League for Spurs all those years ago. Imagine he never went to Spurs, but he went to City instead. I think it would be in the same mould as some of the strikers they signed, taking a punt on some European strikers like Bianchi and Samaras. Pavlyuchenko kind of fits the same mould in my mind, at least. You know, he's big, tall, strong, quite fast. And I think he was quite good for a spell. Under Harry Redknapp, I think it was, for Spurs. He was quite good. So for 1.8 million, he kind of looks like an FM striker to me, that he is big, tall, strong, relatively quick with 15 acceleration too. Great jumping reach, really good finishing, great penalty taking, really good tackling as well, which is an interesting one. Heading is really good too with that really big height as well. I think he can score goals in FM. I think he's going to lead our attack in this poor man's rebuild too. He comes in, and then the final one, Jason Shackle, just needed a real no-nonsense left-sided centre-back. So for 800k, in came Jason Shackle. The team, with everybody in, is going to look like this. We're going to use a 4-2-3-1. Pretty basic. It's one that I've tweaked and used a lot. I know that it can get the business done. It is just a 4-2-3-1 though, with complete wing backs. Mika Richards is going to feature highly in this. We're going to have Schmeichel in goal, Richard Dunn, and Vedran Chorluka. Chorluka is great, by the way, in this database. I didn't realise he was quite as tall as he is. 6'4". Him and Richard Dunn with Shackle as a backup in there. We're going to have Michael Ball. Might need to replace him at some point. He got an England cap. Did he actually? I feel like that now rings a bell now that I say that. Richard Ball. Michael Ball is going to play left back alongside then, or behind, Dietmar Hamann and Michael Johnson as defensive midfielders. Stephen Ireland as the number 10. Alano on the left. Kewell on the right as that inverted winger, as I mentioned, with Pavlyuchenko in the middle. I reckon we can do business with this. We've got Giovanni Petrov. Gelson Fernandez, very young, can go on to be a great player himself. We can maybe use him as a DM when his physicals continue to fall off a little bit more. But I think for now, he's got real quality on the ball that I want to kind of use him. I think that might be a quick change at some point, though. We've also got Joe Hart, who I've brought to the first team, and also Daniel Sturridge, who looks like he could be brilliant. Amazing potential in him. He's actually wanted by Chelsea, which kind of is fitting, isn't it? I think we might be using him in the future, but he is only 17. The squad's okay. I think we can work with this. But let's go and compare it to if we were given £500 million to go and spend with our rich man rebuild. Come on. Okay, so here we are in the rich man's world now, and I've spent a pretty penny, let's call it that, on these players then. Let's go through them quite quickly because we can move through quite fast because we know that this team's going to be really good. I've also set it up in a very similar way so that we can really compare and contrast. We have gone for Vincent Kompany in from Hamburg, nice and early, of course. A future Manchester City legend is Kompany. Really good in this database too, as you can see. He's got great potential, only 21, but is also already brilliant. Gareth Barry, also really good in this DB, and another future Man City player. I've kind of gone for a few of those in this. He's going to come into our midfield. Sergio Aguero, we had to. He's cost us only, by the way, £35.5 million. It's a release clause. We did it in the Liverpool resim, or we did it in the Liverpool rebuild. I had to do it in this one, didn't I? Sergio Aguero, 20 determination. 19-year-old wonder kid is in. Dede, the centre-back, is in at centre-back, obviously. Only 5'9". Didn't realise he was as short as that, but he's going to be a really nice option at centre-back. Pacey centre-back, which I always like. Rafael van der Vaart, what a player. He comes in midfield, only 24 in this universe. 17 million on him. Jaap Stam, a bit of experience, 35 years old, but still looks really, really good. He comes in. That would really boil some Manchester United water if we brought him in, wouldn't it? A bit like Tevez going to Manchester City, and one or two other, quite a lot actually, to be honest, didn't they? Ended up doing that move. Peter Schmeichel, I seem to remember. Ashley Young, another Manchester United one. He's really good here. This is before he goes to United in real life. 22 years old. He's either footed. 32 million on him, but he's going to turn into hopefully a really good player. Trying to keep a bit of an English core in there as well, if possible. I guess on that same theme, Julian Lescott has come into, another future Manchester City player in from Everton. Carlos Kameni, do you remember him? The goalkeeper. Old FM players, you will know Carlos Kameni. He was one of my go-to signings for a goalkeeper for sure at one stage. He comes in for 13 million. Kevin Nolan, I can't quite explain it, but he is so good in this database. So good. Like, he could go and play for Real Madrid and Barcelona. He's that good. So we brought him in. And then finally, Joaquin. What a player. What a legend. And he is also amazing in this database. Those are the players in. He's on a loan, by the way. I think does it have a future? Can't remember. He's on a loan. Yeah, an optional future fee of 29, which we might pay. We might not. A few players going out like Michael Johnson that we're just not going to use in this save because of how much money we're going to spend, even if they are quite good. The side will look like this then. It looks pretty nice, doesn't it? I reckon for the first season, though, I think it could be quite comparable in terms of the finish and how well we do, because I think we've set up that poor man's team in quite a nice way. But compare it to this, maybe long term, this one should go off into the distance in terms of quality. We'll see. Kameni, Richards, we're going to use him loads in this save because he is a wonder kid. We're going to go with Kompany, Lescott, Dede at left wing back at the moment. Bit older, but we're going to use him here. We've got some other options if we need to. Nolan and Barry, very Brexit, that midfield, but both really, really good. Van der Vaart, Alano, Young on the left-hand side, Aguero up front with real options on the bench. Joaquin, we have got, just loads. We've got Giovanni down here. Sturridge I've also brought to the first team on here. Gelson Fernandez, we know how good he is. Boyanov, Bianchi, Garrido. He could be the other left-back option, by the way. He's actually okay. He's okay on this save here. Let's go to the end of our first season then to see, does our poor man's team do better or does our rich man's team do better? Do we win the league? How well do we do? Do we finish in the chat? Let's go and find out. Let's go and find out. Come on. All right. In the poor man's universe then, we have finished our first season in the Premier League and we have finished a very respectable and European qualifying 6th place. 72 points was actually a pretty decent points total. It was Arsenal that won the league on 89, then United, then Chelsea, then Liverpool, Newcastle above us just about, and then us in 6th. I think it's a very reasonable start, especially considering we didn't spend all that much money. And have a look at this. Roman Pavlyuchenko has topped the goal scoring charts above Cristiano Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney in their absolute peak, by the way. Roman Pavlyuchenko has scored 28 goals. What a player. What a performance from him. Actually, if we look in all competitions, in all comps, he's got 35 in 43. I'm very proud of how this team has done. We have a look at some of the stats on here as well. Look, 35 goals, obviously. 16 from Alano from that left-hand side. Harry Kewell was good. Really good, actually. 5 goals. How many assists did he get from that side? 15 assists. I knew it was going to be a lot. 12 in the Premier League. Very solid. Is kind of... Maybe these physicals might be a problem soon, might be one to try and replace. But for £2.5 million, very happy with his input. 10 goals from Richard Dunn from corners and those headers. He is good in the air. 6'2", 17 jumping reach, those 17 heading. Will be a threat and will continue to be a threat. Actually is wanted by Atletico Madrid and Newcastle. I feel like if we can get good money for him, that could be quite fun to do in the save as well, couldn't it? And yeah, have a look at the squad. Have a look at the stats on here. I'm very happy. Petrov got 13 from the bench mostly. Lots of appearances from Gareed on this left-hand side. He probably became first choice compared to Michael Ball, as we talked about. 32 games from him. Other players from the bench that played loads. Petrov, Gelson Fernandez is developing into a really good footballer. Not maybe as quite quickly as I wanted him to, but still pretty good. And down here, look, no real appearances from some of these. Valery Boyanov did actually play 18 games. Having a look at the results, here is how we did. We had some great wins in there. Like this 4-2-3-1 is good, but it's not like you need really good players for it to be amazing. But when it does work, it does definitely work. 4-2-3-1 this year, if you can just get pretty... I mean, they're pretty obvious instructions as well. It can be really, really effective. I feel like maybe that's just something that is just Football Manager, isn't it? The 4-2-3-1 being good. Yeah, with a Gegenpress, it kind of is a thing, isn't it? We've beaten like Sunderland 5-1 here, though. West Brom 4-0, Birmingham 5-0, then losing to Reading, losing to Newcastle, drawing with Manchester United and Liverpool here, winning 5-1 against West Ham, with Richard Dunn scoring twice. In the Cups, just to show you, as a bit of a summary in here, we have FA Cup, gone out in the quarterfinal to Portsmouth after extra time, which is a bit of a kicker here. They scored in extra time, I think it was it 4-4? And then, yeah, they won it in extra time with a Glenn Johnson goal after 100 minutes. And then the other competition we're in was the League Cup and the UEFA Cup, actually. In the League Cup, we went out in is that the 4th round, I think it is? Yeah, it was the 4th round. We lost to Reading. Reading also really good in this database. I think we talked about that last time, didn't we? Quite like the team that they've got going. They're quite good. Out in the 4th round there then, so no glory. UEFA Cup, we weren't actually in it. It's because we've qualified for it for next year, which is why it's coming up in here. Overall, a solid season, but let's compare it to the rich man season. Okay, in that rich man season then, here are the player stats so that you can see, and you may already, I'm sure you have, peeked a sneak peek at that Premier League table finish. We have won the Premier League. So straight off the bat, we've gone in and won the Premier League with the players that we brought in. I was actually maybe expecting it to be a little bit closer. I thought the squad that we built with Roman Pavlyuchenko, etc., was really good. However, maybe just a little bit more quality in that midfield. Like Rafael van der Vaart ran things here. 7.64. He's got the best average rating in the league. The most assists was 17. Great at those set pieces. Like if I show you his attributes here, look, he has got 17 free kick taking and 17 corners. It's so useful to have in your team. If you're playing FM and you don't have a genuine set piece taker, go and get one. It makes a huge difference. A huge difference. I really can't underline that point enough. Their average ratings will be through the roof. Then, because their average ratings are through the roof, the team will be playing better and you'll win more games just from that, as well as the goals that you'll score from those set pieces. We've won the league. 100 points, just 2 losses all season. We lost to Liverpool, we lost to Everton. We drew 4 games, Newcastle, Chelsea, Spurs, and then Chelsea again. We won 32 of those games. Some big wins in there as well. 3-1 against United, 2-0 against Arsenal, 5-1 against Bolton, 5-0 against Fulham. Don't really need to show you too much. The team is amazing. I'll show you some of the results so that you can just have a little look through. We were great. This team that we've built is already great. So let's just go and make it even better by spending even more money. We've got still £415 million to go and spend if we want to in this summer. So expect it to get even better. Let me show you the FA Cup as well, where we went out in the 5th round to Arsenal after extra time. And the League Cup, we won it with a 2-1 win against Blackburn in the final. So first Cup win, first league win in this universe. This is very much the Manchester City that we've come to know and I was going to say love, but the Manchester City that we've come to know in real life. Look at the goal scorers in there then as well if you want to. Aguero with 22, Joaquin 22 on loan, might be one to try and keep, I think, for next season. Have a look at the other appearances from some of the players there. Aguero got 22 goals and 37. Ashley Young was great. Starman, Rafael van der Vaart. These star ratings are these 3. Joaquin, almost certainly something we need to go and get for that £29 million. Let's go and find out, though, what I'm going to do to try and get that poor man's rebuild a bit closer to this one. Let's go and see the second season transfer window from there. So we've been given a little bit more than 5 million to spend in our poor man rebuild here, but I've tried to keep things tight, and I've actually only spent 5 million because I feel like that's more in line with the essence of this video. So with that 5 million, I have brought in 6 players for season number 2, trying to build upon that 6th place finish last season. We're now in the UEFA Cup as well, so maybe we need to consider that in terms of the scheduling and the squad that we need to have. But I'm pretty happy with the players that I've managed to bring in on such a budget. First up, we have brought in Valery Massagwe, who is a defensive midfielder from Cameroon. He was playing in France for Le Havre. Look at his physicals. Look at how good he is. I won't lie to you. It's not somebody that I'm au fait with particularly. I don't think I know who he was. I can't remember him as a player, but he looks great in FM, doesn't he? 17 acceleration, 14 pace, 16 stamina, 17 strength, great passing, great long shots. What a player to go and play defensive midfield in our team. Maybe, look, he's a natural segundo volante according to this. So that's going to be fun. So I brought him in for just £1 million. A couple of free transfers. Lee Bowyer at 31 is just kind of solid. He's going to be a squad option for us, but great mentals on him as well. Actually, annoyingly good mentals for somebody that once fought another member of his team there in Kieran Dyer, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was Kieran Dyer's fault. We're going to go with Lee Bowyer in our midfield for a free. Olaf Malberg to be a bit of rotation or a squad option at the back. Season pro, very, very good during his Aston Villa career, wasn't he? He is actually still really good as well, despite being now he's 30, but great physicals, great mentals. Again, is going to be a threat in the air too with good jumping reach and heading, great tackling. Just going to be solid. And kind of in this side of the rebuild, we're looking for solid, aren't we, with that 5 million that we've got to spend. Then Ryan Donk, I remember he came to West Brom a little bit later in his career, I do believe. But I think right at the start of his career, he was really highly rated. He's got great physical attributes. We spent how much on him? 1.5 was it? Yeah, 1.5 million pounds. He's 6'4". He's a good defender. He's a young defender that might get better. Felt like value for money. He comes in. And then up front, 2 signings. Fernando Llorente. This was before he ended up going to Spurs, etc. On a free transfer, Fernando Llorente, 6'4" striker. You know, I love a big, tall striker. Him and Roman Pavlyuchenko may be rotating. He's only 23, so he's going to get better. Needs to work on his consistency and a few cons in there that we don't particularly like. But I think on a free transfer, we've got a good bit of value there. So in comes Llorente, and then alongside him, like this as a signing, I think it's really cool. We're going to go with Fabrizio Micoli. Another kind of cult hero, I think, from Italian football, from the Serie A. He is going to come and play maybe on the wing, but maybe just up front too. We'll see how we use him, but some great attributes on Micoli from Palermo. Good acceleration and pace. I love his first touch, his dribbling. He's got great technique as well on there. Good penalty taking too. He comes in for just 2.5 million to take our total spend to 5 million. We've also sold some people too that you can see. 9.5 million for Martin Petrov, who didn't play that much for us last year. Dietmar Hammann's moved on to Nedimon Nuaha. He's okay. Great acceleration and pace, but we've let him go on a free transfer as well. Eric Jemba for 800k. Made a profit on Eric. So you can't really argue with that, can you? As well as quite a few other players leaving as well. Let's go and see what we can do with the squad now looking a little bit more like this. I love this Mizake guy. I think he looks really, really good. Micoli from the left, look. Kuhl from the right. Pavlyuchenko up front. Llorente as a bit of a rotation option in there. We've got Donk coming in for Richard Dunn in the defence. I think it is there. So I think, maybe Richard Dunn might start. He's actually just suspended at the moment. I think we've got a chance of improving. Maybe the aim here is to qualify for the Champions League. But let's go and contrast this spending. This £5 million spent with 500 that we've got to spend in the rich man's rebuild. Come on. And did we spend 500 million? Of course we did. We spent actually on the nose exactly 500 million pounds. That's the way we're going to work it. We're going to spend 5 million or 500 million each season. So I guess you could kind of call this a 1.5 billion rebuild in total. But you know what I mean, right? We are going to go for these players in and just have a look at the fun we're going to have with this team. If this team does not go and win the league again this year, as well as the Champions League, I think it's going to be a failure because we have brought in some superstars. Naldo at the back, right as he's a 25-year-old fresh defender, 6'6". What a defender he's going to be. He has cost us £16 million. Next up, we've just gone and bought Messi for £101 million. Lionel Messi is now here at Manchester City. Imagine he never went to PSG. Imagine he didn't even go and finish his Barcelona career. He moved to the Premier League early. What a player. Just 21 years old. We're going to get him in his peak years. 103 million. It's a bargain as well. In goal, Manuel Neuer. We just thought we'd go and sign the best keeper in the world at this stage too. Neuer comes in for 55 million, rising to 60. Yaya Toure, future Manchester City legend, of course. We brought him from Barcelona, as happened in real life. He's going to be great for us. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. This one might be the one I'm most excited about as well. I'm not even a huge Zlatan fan, but I'm going to use him in FM here, and I think it's going to be good fun. 150, rising to 165 million pounds. Our most expensive transfer so far. 26-year-old Zlatan. Just look at his attributes. 6'5" striker with 16 acceleration, 17 pace, 17 finishing, 20 first touch, 20 technique, 20 off the ball, 20 agility. 6'5". He shouldn't have these attributes. He's a joke. And I think he's going to score a lot of goals for us. So this is where we can really compare and contrast the two saves, right? Then next up, Matías Fernández, a legend of this era of Football Manager, I think. Couldn't resist going to sign him. I think, Jack, you left me a comment on the Liverpool rebuild praying that we would sign Matías Fernández. And I avoided doing it in that save because I wanted to go for some maybe more household real life names. So we've gone for him today. Matías Fernández is in, and what up? I mean, look at that for a player. Look at his technicals. He's a joke. This team is going to be so, so good. Giorgio Chiellini, 75 million. He's going to hold down our defence, left-sided defence. And then Roman Riquelme, one of my favourite ever players in real life ever. But the number 10 of dreams in my head. 30 years old here. His physicals might let him down a little bit, but he was never fast, was he, Riquelme? Have a look at the technicals. I talked about getting a set piece taker. This guy has got 20 corners, 19 free kicks, 20 penalty taking. What a player. 20 vision and 20 passing. The number 10 of dreams, like I talked about. Altogether, going to look a little bit like this. We're going to mix it up slightly. I know I said we'd go with this. I mean, we're going to mix it up slightly because we've got so many good players. The defence, or the goalkeeper, is Neuer. Chorluka, Richards, Lescott, Chiellini. Maybe centre-back, we might improve things. Maybe like Naldo comes in or somewhere in here and we can improve things there. But we've got so many options, and I kind of want to keep some English players in there if we can. We've got Company playing defensive midfielder. Like, he could come in and play there. We could put Richards there. Look, again, options upon options. Maybe Yaya Toure plays deeper. Maybe the best player on the game, Kevin Nolan, can come and play in there too. He's actually transfer listed. I'm trying to move him on. Riquelme in as a CM attack. I know he's a number 10 of dreams, but a CM attack is going to play like that in this system, I think. Messi, Matías Fernández, Aguero, Ibrahimovic. Go and win the league. And if you don't, I'm going to probably ban myself from FM. I'll see you at the end of our seasons. Let's find out how we do with the poor man's rebuild first, and then we'll see how these guys do. Come on. And at the end of season number 2 then, with our budget poor man's rebuild team, we have finished third. We have indeed improved on things. We've actually managed to get ourselves an extra 10 points in our league campaign as well. Very happy with how this team has performed. We've got ourselves 82 points. Only lost 6 games, so actually less than Chelsea, who finished a point above us in second. We did draw 7, though. Those 6 losses coming to some pretty big teams. Arsenal home and away. We lost to United away, Everton away, and then West Ham away as well. I think those are pretty respectable. Even that home game that we lost to Arsenal, look, we lost 5-3. So we're giving ourselves a fight in most of those games, like a 3-2 loss, a 4-2 loss. Like, we're trying. 3-0 away at Everton is probably the most disappointing in there. But we're getting closer. We are a Champions League team now as well. So maybe the caliber of player, even if we haven't got the budget, maybe some good free transfer players are more likely to join us because we're a Champions League team heading into our final season. So I'm happy. I think we've had a really good season there. I want to show you the squad, as well as the fact that I have actually made another signing on top of the ones that I showed you. In January, Alejandro Gomez came up on a free transfer from his Argentinian team, Arsenal. So I've brought him in, and in the second half of the season, he's been extraordinarily good. 5 goals, 6 assists, 7.2 on average rating. He's recently displaced Alano in the starting lineup and performed maybe better, although Alano was actually unbelievable before that. I've actually integrated Daniel Sturridge into the team too. 45 appearances for him, 19 goals. Alano, 28 goals and 59. Probably still our best player. Possibly. He's very good. He's actually wanted at the moment. No, he's unhappy because he wants a new deal at the moment. Look how good he is. Really, really good. Now 28 though. Pavlyuchenko scored 31 goals. He's just a phenomenon up front. Actually keeping out. I had high hopes for Llorente on that free transfer, but he's only played 4 sub appearances. He just doesn't need to play because when we need a rotation option for Pavlyuchenko, Mikeli just goes up front and he scored 22 goals. And then we just play somebody like Gomez coming in here and Alano plays wide. They can all kind of rotate, or Sturridge goes in as the striker and then these can rotate. Like, we had enough players to make this work. In the midfield, Mazake, I really like, played very well. He actually didn't play all of the games because Gelson Fernandez played 33 times and scored 8 goals. He's turning out to be really very good. Wants a new deal at the moment as well. Michael Johnson played 56 games. I mean, we played a lot of games this year. Having a look at that. Richard Dunn got 20 goals. 31 goals. I've showed you that one already. 29 goals from Valery Boyanov, mainly as a sub as well, is quite interesting. One thing to say as well, Stephen Ireland, his time is probably coming to an end now. Only the one sub appearance from him. Same with Harry Kewell. Only really sub appearances from him too. That's the side. Let me show you the performances in the UEFA Cup and the FA Cup, etc. If we go to the FA Cup first, we ended up losing in the final to Arsenal after beating Charlton, West Ham, Spurs and Swansea and Norwich in the run to the final. We lost 5-2 in the final, which is a bit disappointing, but still got ourselves to the final. UEFA Cup, we did go and win it. We beat Newcastle in this final, a 3-1 win away. I was going to say away from home, but it's neutral, isn't it? But we were the away team. Pavlyuchenko got himself 2 goals. Daniel Sturridge got himself a goal too. He started the game before being substituted. He is very much now a first team player, developing very nicely for a 19-year-old. We had European glory. We beat PSG in the semis in that as well. Like a great run to the final. Almost flawless run to the final. Didn't even really... We conceded 2 here. 1 there, and then 1 in the final. So like 5 goals conceded in the whole run. Very, very nice indeed. We did also go have a run in the League Cup, which we also won. I think, was it the first time in this save? Or was it, yeah, the first time in this save, because it was in the other save that we won the League Cup before. But our first domestic trophy with a win in the League Cup final against Villa there. So success, 3rd place finish and Cup glories. Success in the poor man's rebuild. Now, I put a lot of pressure on the rich man's rebuild, didn't I? I said if we didn't win the league and the Champions League, I would be devastated. If I didn't win the league, I'm going to quit FM. So let's go and find out if I did win that league. And yeah, we did win the league. Of course we won the league. Have you seen the team that we've got? We got ourselves 90 points, which is actually less than we got last year in terms of the points tally, because we got 100 points in season number 1. 90 points here. A goal difference of 102. We scored 137 goals, conceded only 35, which I think is the least in the league as well. Yeah, it was quite good. Our form actually tailed off towards the end of the season when we'd already won it, which makes it look a lot worse than it was because we had things like the FA Cup final. And we were trying to win the Champions League, which we haven't done. So there is still improvement left to be made. But for most of the season, we were completely brilliant. Like 8-1 wins here, 7-0 wins here. We did lose to Barcelona in the league phase. The Champions League has gone to the new format, which is something that you can't change in this old database, which is maybe a bit annoying, but still, it's one of those things, isn't it? We did win the League Cup again here. We beat Everton in that final. FA Cup, we did win that too with a win against Arsenal. So we've won the League, the FA Cup, and the League Cup. Did not win the Champions League. We went out to Chelsea on penalties, which we'd won the first leg 2-0 as well, and lost 3-1. We got back luck with an 105th minute goal to take it to pens, but yeah, we lost that one. Chorluka getting sent off did not help us in that particular game there. But Premier League winners, FA Cup winners, League Cup winners, it's respectable. We're going to go and try and win that Champions League again next year because that's still, it was a huge thing for City in real life, wasn't it? To actually go and get that Champions League, which they did last year, of course. I kind of feel like I'm going to be disappointed if I don't get it in this save. We've only got one more season. The squad, looking at it, playing in this weird system here, I just love it. I mean, it's just so good. Look at the performances. Look at some of the goals being scored. I said about Zlatan scoring so many. He got 40 in 40 games, as well as a load of assists as well, right? He got, only 8 assists, but still 48 goal contributions in 40 games. Not bad. Aguero got 32. Just rubbish in comparison. Micah Richards, 20 goals. These set pieces still working. 20 goals from the CM attack, Riquelme as well. Him in terms of assists, 28 assists because he has taken all of our set pieces. Love him. He's now 30, so I hope he continues it for a little bit. Some of the other players in here too, just to show you some of the performances. Loads of games from Yaya Toure. He was playing loads in this Gareth Barry role, I think it was, most of the time. Van der Vaart was a hero last year. Did play lots as well, playing as a CM attack. Also some off the wing too. We just got players upon players. We're going to go and spend more money on this as well. Just, I dread to think what this squad is going to look like after that. Chiellini, by the way, world-class left back. Didn't expect to play him there, but I guess he is natural as it. World-class left back. Lescott Richards, Chorluka, inverted wing back on this side. Again, we've got options. Company played 29 times too. Naldo played 21 times. There was a lot of rotation. League winners, we need to aim for the Champions League next year. That becomes the aim. But first, let's go and find out if we can wheel and deal our way to a Premier League title in our poor man's rebuild. Let's go and find out what the transfers have been over there. All right, so heading into our final seasons then with both of our rebuilds, we've got 5 million to spend here in the poor man's rebuild, and I've spent 4.5 million. I've brought in some household names here. The likes of Roberto Carlos has joined Manchester City in the poor man's rebuild. Yeah, he is 36, to be fair to him. 139 caps for Brazil at this stage. I think he still looks pretty good. Ignore these downward arrows. You're going to see that from an old man at 36 years old. I think he looks right. His pace and acceleration are still there at 14. I think he's going to be a real asset for us at left back, even in spite of his advancing years. He has come in on for 500k. The rest of the money has been spent on this man here. And I talked about household names. It's Lenny, everybody. I don't really know who he actually is. He's a Brazilian winger. He's 21 years old. I've signed him from Fluminense. I don't really know what he did, but he's called Lenny, which is the name of my dog. So that's why he's a household name. He's going to come in, though, and play on the right-hand side. And I think he looks amazing. For 4 million, which is the most we've spent on any player in this poor man's rebuild, I think he looks like a superstar in the making. He's got 1 under 20 cap for Brazil. He's going to play inverted on this right hand side, which is where he's natural playing inside forwards. I think he could be a little bit of a good signing if all goes to plan. Anyway, alongside them though is 3 free transfers. Breeder Hangeland as one of them went on to play for Fulham, of course. 6'5" of defender. 28 is just usefully 6'5" of a defender. That's why I've signed him. Paulo Assunção, good player, coming in from Porto. Defensive midfielder, bit of an older head, 29 years old, for free. Great mentals on him, really good tackling. Play him in at defensive midfield. And then Jermaine Defoe was on a free from Spurs. He's only 26, so very much still in his heyday here, Jermaine Defoe. And we could get him on a free transfer. So I've brought him in. Him and Pavlyuchenko. It's quite a Spurs type attack that we've got going on there. But if he's available, we could bring him in. Felt like it was the right thing to do. So in he comes, and the squad will now look a little bit like this, I think. Obviously, with some rotation, some players might be in better form. They might come in, but something like this. Isaacson as the goalkeeper. He's been first choice pretty much throughout the whole save so far. Richards done. Chorluka, Roberto Carlos, Johnson, Mazagaway, Lenny on the right, Mikali on the left, Elano in the middle with Pavlyuchenko up front, with people like Gomez to come in for lots of different games, Sturridge to come in as well, and also Jermaine Defoe as an option up top. So I think, having finished 6th, then 3rd, the aim here has to be to try and win the title, right? So let's aim for that. But before that, let's go and find out who I've signed in our £500 million rich man's rebuild, because that team is a joke. Let's go find out. So, yeah, it's got even more mental. I have signed £500 million worth of players. Of course, that is the aim of the game here. And I've brought in Sergio Ramos, Adriano, Ronaldinho, Luis Suarez, and Esteban Cambiasso. This team, this squad, is going to be maybe the best thing ever. Starting with Sergio Ramos for £174 million. I did feel like we needed to just up the quality of centre-back. With Les Scott and Micah Richards, they're amazing on the database, but their names, you don't think of them as being a worldie. Sergio Ramos could make a claim to be the best centre-back of all time. Not sure he is, but definitely up there, right? He is a joke of a defender. Only 23 here, £174 million. He comes in. Then a legend of PES legends is Adriano. I wish his career was a bit longer. I wish we saw more of him, because what a player he was in his day. That 99 shot power is all you think of, or is at least all I think of as a PES fanboy back in the day. What a player he's going to be for us, with Ronaldinho just alongside him. Look at this. Look at his mentals. 20 determination, flair and leadership, 19 passing, 19 technique, 18 dribbling. Just so good. We've signed Ronaldinho from Barcelona for £175 million. Is that the most expensive? I think it is more now than Zlatan, and it's £1 million more than Ramos. So he will be our most expensive signing in this save. Luis Suarez for £6 million. 22 years old. We could bring him in. He's going to be a backup, but what a backup to go and have. Brought him in from Ajax. And then Esteban Cambiasso, a really, I still think, underrated midfielder of football's past. Really like him as a player. He was involved in that. Did he score the goal that was like 23 passes in a World Cup once upon a time? I think he did, right? One of my favourite ever World Cup goals. And what a player. He comes in for a lot of money, £100 million spent on him. The squad, something like this, but obviously it may change. It's going to look something like this. I actually feel like maybe you do Ramos right back and then Richards centre back. But do you know what? Richards is so good. I mean, this is why he keeps playing, by the way. So good. He's only 21 as well. Proper wonder kid that's turned into an elite centre back here. We'll have Neuer, Ramos, Richards, Kompany, Chiellini, Cambiasso, Riquelme, Messi, Ibrahimovic, Aguero, Ronaldinho. Does it get much better? I'm not sure it does. I mean, maybe it does because you've got Adriano on the bench and Matthias Fernandes and Suarez and Yaya Toure and Van der Vaart. We have to try and win the Champions League. That is the aim. Let's go and find out how we've done in both of our saves then. The 5 million rebuild, I think, has a chance of winning this league. I kind of want to. If this team doesn't, I'll be deeply disappointed, and we have to try and win the Champions League with it. Let's go to the end of our final season of both of our rebuilds. And did we do it? In the 5 million poor man's rebuild, did we win the Premier League? Yes, we did. Yeah, we did manage to do it in our final season here. 89 points was the points total. A 6-point gap to second place Chelsea. 29 wins from our 38. Did lose 7, so it was kind of squeaky at times to make sure we did win this league. We lost to Derby away from home and Portsmouth away and then Liverpool United, which is a bit more, you know, you can explain it a little bit more. Lost at home to Everton, who seemed to be our boogie team. But we only drew 2 games, so we won a lot of matches in this league season. Champions confirmed. The squad ended up then, Premier League title winning squad ended up looking like this, with Isaacson as the keeper, Richards and Garrido mainly as left backs, although before his legs started to really fall off, Roberto Carlos was good as a left back and did play 30 times as a sub. 15 starts for him. Did start to go downhill a little bit. Look, I was worried about this. When we signed him, it still looked really good. They're not terrible now, but I think he also has decided to retire. He's 37 at this stage, and Garrido is quite good, but he did play some games. Luka, by the way, what a player he's ended up being in this save. He has been solid throughout the whole thing. Richard Dunn, likewise, to be honest, is now wanted by Arsenal, Chelsea, and Juventus too, because he is that good. Also, Mika Richards, we know how good he is in this database. We've seen him in both saves so far today, haven't we? Johnson and Asensao in the midfield. Mazagwe also played a lot of games in there too. 22 starts for him. Really solid in our midfield. Gelson Fernandes started 11. He's wanted as well by Wigan now. Didn't quite ever... I was expecting him to kick on a lot more than he did. Maybe I didn't give him enough games, but there we go. Lenny, the new signing, star man. Big star man on this right-hand side. Scored 31 goals in 51 starts. Very much the catalyst for getting us to this league title. Alano still going strong, 15 goals from him. 16 goals from the left side for Gomez. And then Daniel Sturridge, starting striker finally, 23 goals in 30. Actually rotating with Valery Boyanov, who plays in all 3 of the attacking positions. Did play 40 games and score something like 20 goals. 23 goals in 40 starts across all of those. Less starts for Mikulij with just 19 this season. But you can see, and then Jermaine Defoe, new signing, 21 starts, 16 goals. So when he does play, he does score. This season, big drop off for Pavlyuchenko. Just doesn't quite have the quality anymore. Really, when he did play, just didn't perform in the same way that he was before, which I don't really know what happened because his attributes, they don't look too different. But either way, 5 starts, 8 goals, mainly as a sub. Those goals coming though. When he did start, wasn't particularly good, and we had just better players. Doesn't really matter though, does it? Because we did go and win the league title. We tried to win the Champions League, but ended up going to Bayern in the quarterfinals. They were just a little bit too strong for us. Did, though, go and win the FA Cup with a 2-1 win against Chelsea. And in the League Cup, if I go back to that one, we won that one 5-0 with a win against Liverpool in the final. Hat-trick from Jermaine Defoe in that one. So, all in all, success. You can do this on a budget, but will it get as much success as the 500 million rich man's rebuild, where we're going to go and find out, did we win that Champions League? We really ought to have been, shouldn't we? Let's find out. And here we are once again, winning the league, of course. I mean, that was the bare minimum of this rich man's rebuild, wasn't it? 28 wins, 10 draws. We went unbeaten in our final Premier League season. Pretty good. We didn't have that weird tail off of form like we had last season. Only 94 points, so still not as many as we got in season number 1. However, really solid. It was 11 points to second place Manchester United. So all in all, a very good season in the league. But did we win that Champions League? Did we manage to get European glory? No, was the answer. We lost in the quarterfinals to Inter. This Inter team is good. I'll show you the Inter team because maybe it's a little bit of extra. I mean, there it is, look. A little bit of extra context, like it's good, but we shouldn't have been losing to these. I mean, Maicon is a joke at right back. Maybe we should have signed him this season. They've got a good team, but we lost to these in the quarterfinals. Not quite what we were aiming for. We did win the FA Cup. Kind of feels a bit like we have to at this stage, right? We did also win the League Cup. We won 5-1 in the final against Bolton there. So a domestic treble. Didn't get that Champions League win that we were so craving. Have a look at the squad though and how it performed. I mean, look at this for a squad that we've built. Neuer, Ramos, Richards, Company, Chiellini. Look at the star ratings. They're so good. Cambiasso and Van der Vaart in the midfield. We had Riquelme dropping to the bench this year. He's, again, it's his physical attributes just dropping off a little bit here. So Van der Vaart coming back in and starting and look, 29 goals and 16 assists from him. Just very, very good. Messi got 14 goals. Ronaldinho got 16. 26 from Zlatan. This year was the year of Sergio Aguero and also Van der Vaart with the 29. CM attack. It still exists. It's still a thing. I love it in this midfield. Adriano got 23 goals and 26 starts. And then, yeah, overall, we built a super team. We won the league loads of times. We didn't win the Champions League. Is it a failure? I'm not quite sure. Either way, though, this has been a lot of fun. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video and enjoyed the format of doing 2 simultaneous rebuilds. It's, I think, a nice contrast and it's extra content for you guys. So hopefully you did enjoy it. Let me know if you did in the comments down below. And a little bonus thing that I wanted to show to you or share with you. I'm going to be playing these 2 teams, the poor man's rebuild and the rich man's rebuild, against each other in versus mode. And I'm going to upload it to the Claytreon. So if you are a Claytreon member, I'll put a video of these 2 teams playing each other because they both ended up winning the league this year. It could be closer than you think. I'll let you know, or you'll find out how that goes if you are a Claytreon member. If you want to become a Claytreon member, the link to it is in the description down below. It's my Patreon. It's another way to support, and I really appreciate you Claytreon members. So that game will be there. Thank you very much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let me know what you want to see next. Most importantly, though, have a lovely rest of your day. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.